Hi. Hi. Sorry. Wait a minute. Okay, there we go. Okay, let me switch this over here. Just dawned on me after I plugged in my iPad to charge that, oh my, you could see the whole screen on screen, and we don't want that. Or rather, I don't want that. How is everyone? Hey, Autistic Shell. Hi, Steffi. Hey, Sue Elliott. Hey, Sally. Hey, Estelle. Hey, Kimberly. That reminds me. Hey, Eliar. I have to get over here quick. Where can I find that? Here we go. I'm just pulling the video up here real quick. Okay, I was gonna say it better be in this fucking playlist. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to go out and find it. We don't want that. Okay, there it is. So let me get back here. All right. Hey, Kimberly Ann. Hey, Eliar. Hey, April. Hey, Sunday Night Live. Hey, Lucy Graham. Hey, Country Girl Brenda. How's everyone doing? I don't know. I think it's going to be a good stream. I mean, I think that there's actually quite a few people in the community, even in this live stream, who probably aren't aware of much of what I'm about to show. Just because they don't know. They haven't been around long enough to remember much of this as it happened, or no one's really talked about it much. Oh yeah, thank you, Autistic. I saw that. Yeah, I'm gonna make a video out of that one, so that's why I'm not really gonna touch it tonight, because I want to save it for a video, which I plan on doing tomorrow. I was gonna do tonight, but it takes me a while to do a video between recording it, setting the clips, and then editing the whole thing, cutting it, and placing it together, and whatever. It takes a long while. I'm tired. I don't want to do that today. So I thought, well, why not stream? And as I'm sitting here online, I'm thinking about what to stream. What can I stream about? Like, I know that there's been a live stream going on tonight that's all about me, apparently, but it's I don't know. I feel like that's not really it's not a fun interesting way to spend my time. Like, I love it when people talk about me. Don't get me wrong. I'll cover that anytime. But this is just nothing new. And as usual, there's never a receipt shown with any of the claims made, and it's just whatever. I don't fucking care. It's so stupid. It's really stupid. But anyway, okay. So I thought, well, I don't want to talk about that stupid stream. And then I saw Katie Joy's post on Instagram. And let me get back here. Let me share this, show you what I mean. This is why I decided on the stream. So on her Instagram, she's sharing, screenshots or whatever of some incident in the past regarding the Bates. So, okay, here's the first post. Now, yeah, okay, I have the sound up. I'm not playing the, well, does she say what they say in here? Maybe I will have to play the volume. I don't know. Anyway, so she had posted about this back when it happened, or I don't think it was right when it happened. I think it was like shortly after it happened. And but here she writes, please help debate save their white in-laws from being deported. But don't forget that they mocked the brutal murder of an unarmed man by police during a game of charades. Don't forget that everyone laughed at this, and their show was canceled because of this. No, the Bates aren't better. They are members of a sadistic pedo cult where Gil is on the board. The kids looking normal doesn't make them normal. She should know that more than anyone. Gil is abusive, racist, sexist, and promotes corporal punishment. He shames dirty girls and he blames. Okay, yeah. Why does my stomach keep growling? I'm not even hungry. Gil defends Jim Bob and Josh. Gil is among the Duggar groupies that tells people that Josh is innocent and set up by the government. Gil is bought and paid for by Jim Bob. He does whatever Jim Bob tells him to do because Jim Bob built him at home and got him a show. Gil blamed his daughter, Carlin, for tempting Josh or Joseph Duggar. After they were caught kissing, Joseph got in no trouble, whereas Carlin was berated and shamed. Gil worships Bill Gothard and protects abusers. Sorry about that. Is it wrong to pray for deportation? Oh, whatever. So, and then after this, the most recent post on her Instagram page is this here. And it looks like she's reposting something from November 2021, maybe? I don't know. But she writes, Carlin Bates is sending this message to outraged fans about the racist comments made by someone in her family. Multiple people on Reddit seem to believe the comment was made by Nathan Bates, but it's hard to tell. The Bates family was playing charades, and during the game, Lawson Bates was acting out hunting and shot his younger brother to the ground. Someone in the background shouted, George Floyd. It was a fucking scummy thing to do. The video is quickly going viral due to the racist overtones of laughter at the murder of George Floyd. Carla says that she doesn't agree with lighthearted comments, sarcasm, jokes that are disrespectful and hurtful. She did not at all address the fact that the statements were clearly racist. Carolyn claims she didn't pay attention to what was said and didn't know when she posted the story. In no place does she speak out against what happened to George Floyd. Instead, she refers to this as a joke and it was disrespectful and hurtful. People on Reddit are already blowing up TV and demanding accountability. So, yeah, racism is only one problem with race. So she's concerned about racism here. Well, we are going to take an extensive trip through, I don't know, the previous few years, maybe. I think the earliest incident in this video might have been from 2019. I'm not sure. But even if you want to sit here and make the argument that, oh, well, that was 4 years ago, people change in 4 years. And, and I'd be one to agree with you. I am. I don't care to really dredge up much of anything Katie Joy's done, like when it's that long ago, because I don't feel as though it's truly applicable, at least not like it used to be. However, the past couple of years, 1 to 2 years, at least, I would say, are absolutely applicable, I think. Because though people may change, they don't change that quickly, especially when they're repeating the same behavior. And that's what you're going to see here in this video as we move forward. And now this video is a little bit old. I mean, it's over a year old, I think. When did I make this video? Yeah, we're going to be playing one of my videos. I don't care. I really feel like some people are just like, I don't know. It's kind of weird when people do that, but it's kind of a compilation video in a sense. So 2 years ago, it says, but what was the actual date? August 9, 2021. So yeah, it's about 2 years ago. So like I said, it doesn't even include the past 2 years. That's crazy. But a lot of the shit that's in here happened right in 2021. So here's the video. It's on my channel. It's titled "For Those Who Are Unaware of What Todd Chrisley Was Referring to." It's a video upload, and it's also in a playlist called PSA. Like short for like public service announcement or whatever. But like there's a certain group of videos that I have included in there. Some of them don't have anything to do with the drama community or Katie, whatever. Some of them do, but mostly the videos that I kind of reserve to go in there are ones that are not so much opinion, but just either showing factual things, just the basic facts, without commentary or opinion, or they are just highlighting some really troublesome shit. Because like one of the videos in the playlist is the video compilation I put together of all the disgusting ways and things Katie has said about abuse against women, children, and like just how giddy that shit makes her. It's gross. Anyway, so I'm gonna just go ahead and play this right now. Just recently, Todd Chrisley announced his plans or his intent to sue without a crystal ball. Now, in one of these podcasts in which he was talking and discussing his plans for suing without a crystal ball, he made reference to Katie and her husband associating with white supremacists. Now, for those who are unaware of what it is Todd Chrisley was talking about, please allow me to refresh your memory. Allow me to inform you of the series of events that took place over the past year and a half that led a lot of people to wonder if there are some ties there. Now, I'm not saying that they're racist. I'm just saying I don't know if they are. Okay, now I'm going to present all of these to you in chronological order, in the order in which they happened. On August 8, 2019, Katie Joy had this to say about the Kardashians.
And these girls' butts so gross. And then, and I'm just going to say it, I know I'm a white girl, but I have plenty of girls. I have plenty of girlfriends that are African American. I really think that these women are trashy as hell because they want the aesthetic of a Black woman. They want to date.
Okay, so for those who can't see, I put some text up on the screen there, and it says, wait, what? White women with big asses dating Black men are trashy as hell. And I just, that jumped out at me. I mean, first of all, is she not just, first of all, it's bad enough that she's just speaking on things that really she has no place to speak on, in my opinion. But also, that in the course of doing so, she's saying that these white women are trashy as hell because they're exemplifying which she refers to be as Black culture. She calls it appropriation, in fact. Watch.
The Black men. It's just, all they do is cultural appropriation. It's gross. So they want the body, they want the men, but then they want the benefits of being white. I don't like it.
Okay, next we have a series. See, she's saying that it's appropriation to have a big ass to date a Black man. So in other words, you have the body and the man, and but all the benefits of being white, and that's just gross. And it's trashy as hell. Let's not forget that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that everything she said there is extremely racist or whatever. I think it is definitely racially insensitive, no doubt. But I don't really care to. I not that I don't care to. I don't feel I have a right to speak more on that matter, given my lack of experience there. So I'm not going to speak more on that, but I'm going to just point out what she said about it, how that's trashy. What the fuck? Videos and posts by Katie regarding George Floyd's murder. These all take place from about May 25th to the first couple days in June of 2020.
The first screenshot shows someone asking Katie, hey, have you thought of maybe covering the story about George Floyd and the spread of riots? Just wondering. Hope you and your family are well. To which Katie replies, hey there, I live in Minnesota. As much as I'm outraged, I honestly don't think I will. I hate it happens so much. You have no idea. The cops here are effing terrible to Black men. But my energy is really best served in the places I'm most passionate, which right now is sticking up for children with disabilities. The next,
she's, I can't, she's out of her, like, this is how and why you can tell she's not a fucking reporter, because no self-titled reporter would have missed being there to just witness those events, and with the riots, with the racial clashing, with the, I mean, this was history being made. Like, who doesn't, what news reporter, what person who reports doesn't want to be there to witness news, to report it? It's the bizarrest thing to me. Like, even if you're not a self-titled reporter or self-claimed reporter, who would have, I don't know. Like, I get that she doesn't live in that city anymore, but like where I live, okay, like Syracuse, New York, for example, it's a pretty big city. It's just under an hour away from me, probably like 50 minutes. Okay. If they were having riots like that, my ass would be out there in a second, like, just to witness it all. I mean, it's crazy.
screenshot shows Katie saying, my heart is broken in a million pieces. George Floyd was senselessly murdered by my hometown, Minneapolis police officers over Memorial Day weekend. I sat in horror watching the video footage of him begging officers to help him because he couldn't breathe. Officers sat there arrogantly and did not stop the officer from pinning him down by his neck. This incident took me back to only a few years ago when Philando Castile was senselessly murdered by police in St. Anthony, where I grew up, for a traffic violation. Something is so seriously wrong with our police officers here. Philando Castile's murder, Geronimo Yanez walked free. It's safe to say the lack of justice for Philando's death left a deep mark on my city's heart and soul. When we fail to protect our citizens, then allow rogue cops to walk free, people don't forget. This reaction by Minneapolis should not shock anyone. Philando did not get justice. Minneapolis will be damned that George Floyd doesn't receive justice, despite that anger, which I fully understand.
So I want to point out there how that first post that first screenshot I read from, Katie's like, oh, yeah, I know. And this just makes me so mad. Like, I'm just super mad at this. But I feel like my attention would be best, served with the issues that I'm passionate about, which is not racism, or even police brutality, whatever. But however you want to look at that, there's, I think, several different social justices that could take claim there. But she's like, yeah, that wouldn't be best served by my attention. My attention would be best served like elsewhere, like children with disabilities. And then she turns around and she gives this long, drawn out, like, speech almost as to why she's so appalled and everything, which I don't believe her. And you'll see why when we get to the end.
The next screenshot says, my husband's mother was one half Native American. Not sure how it's his great ancestors. Also, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm grieving with you. I am scared for you, but hurting more innocent people is not the answer.
This was her excusing herself for scolding people for rioting, because she felt like, well, we understand you're pissed off and we're pissed off too. We're right there with you just as bad. But like, no.
The following screenshot says,
this was Todd. Yeah.
From Todd, oh, please don't get confused about what Katie is saying. We hurt for what is being done to young Black men by white cops. We completely understand where this anger and outrage is coming from. I don't condone rioting either, but I understand and empathize with the frustrations. What you failed to see in this post is that we both have family who are living right in the heart of all of this. We have a right to be concerned about buildings and hospitals being burned down and also feel compassion toward victims like George Floyd and others. And for your information, you don't need to educate my wife on the fact this country was stolen. She's with someone who's Native American blood. The following screenshot is from Todd again. This time he says, "No, I won't tell Katie. You can tell her yourself. I'm sorry you feel."
You know, they just told me. I have to wonder just how hard Todd looked into his ancestry before this for him to make these claims about being part Native American and everything. Because like we've since learned upon them looking into history that that's not the case. That he's actually part Black apparently. So I'm wondering, like, there he is. There's he and she right up there making these like passionate speeches, you know, on behalf of or excusing and explaining to everyone why they have every right to be just as fired up as everyone else. And boy, they sure are. I wonder just where he got that confidence from, since he clearly didn't look into his ancestry that hard. If this is what he believed to have been the case, like how do you not do your due diligence with any outrageous claims like this you make? You know, I don't get that.
Feel this way. I understand your hurt. Therefore, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to apologize or feel guilty about my own heritage. But as I stated before, I empathize with what you have to go through every single day in this country. People get mad at me all the time for spelling it like Amerikka, but I don't give a shit. Anyway, please understand that we are not your enemy. We are an ally. Have a nice day.
I'm curious, is Todd really that much of a dork? That much of a like what behind the ears kind of dork? Like he's talking and bragging about like, and he actually had like it's almost like he didn't trust that to stand out there on its own and people realize what it was. He had to explain it. That it's almost like when you have to explain the joke, or when you go on to explain the joke, even when you don't have to. But the whole America with KKK, whatever, like it's almost like he's talking about that, like he's proud that he came up with something so original. Like who hasn't seen that before, like for years? It's crazy.
And again, next we have Todd saying, "Please tell me where I said that I support rioting," followed by, "Don't question my motives. You don't know me. You and everybody else can believe whatever it is that you want to believe about what I said." Okay, next we have Chrissy Teigen saying, "In celebration of whatever the fuck MAGA night is, I am committed to donating $100,000 to the bailouts of protesters across the country." Katie says, "You are awful. Do not encourage the rioting and looting." Someone else says, "She's not inviting anything. She's supporting the hundreds of people who've been arrested the last few days. She chose to say something publicly because apparently tonight is MAGA night, whatever that is. Have you missed the news? Minneapolis and St. Paul have been set on fire for 4 nights. That's not funny. And bailing people out isn't bailing out peaceful protesters." And lastly, we have Katie saying, "Derek Chauvin, you should be charged for the devastation to my city. This is your fault." Someone else says, "I thought he was. He was charged with 3rd-degree murder earlier today." Yeah. To which Katie says, "My city is on fire."
That one, oh my God. When I first heard that, oh my, that is the most insensitive, fucked up thing I think I've read. People are like, well, he was, you know, you got your hope or whatever, your hopes come true. He's been charged. Yay. You know, instead of Katie, you know, responding with, "I know, I'm so glad to see that, you know, maybe now we'll finally see some justice or something, you know." No, instead she came back with, "Look, my city is on fire. Like, how dare you question me? How dare you say my city's on fire?" What? Oh my God, it's crazy. Okay, so the following are some video clips I pulled from a video that I found in the subreddit, WOACB. I just want to thank the moderators of this subreddit real quick for letting me use this in the video. Thank you.
I'm disgusted at the 3 other officers that stood there. I'm heartbroken for their families. I'm heartbroken for their children. I am heartbroken for their communities. I am heartbroken for every single person.
Oops, wrong one.
I'll never forget his face in that shirt. I'll never, ever, ever, ever forget it.
No, it wasn't the wrong one. Okay. I'm not pausing at each one of these and reading it. They are in the subreddit, and what this is just depicting and highlighting is how much content she made off of this. It's a really.
And now this is my city. Everyone is so upset. And then we have people that have come from out of town by the hundreds, driven into our city. And this is what the city looks like. It's just so sad. And it's just scary. Like, they don't really know what's going on right now. They don't really know like who's done
I'm all
what.
set, thank you.
Next, we have Katie talking about how Keith Ellison was appointed yesterday and how he's the first Muslim to be elected into office and to be sworn in on the Torah.
They appointed Keith Ellison yesterday, which is good. Keith Ellison is, interestingly, he was one of the very first Muslim in the House of Representatives, and he was one of the very first to be elected, and then also like take his oath on the Torah. He's also a person of color.
Yep, you heard that right. The Torah.
So on June 20th, 2020, Katie's husband, Todd.
I don't know. I feel like if you're going to speak out on behalf of this and just talk about what a great and wonderful thing it is, and it is, don't get me wrong. I just really feel like you should, I don't know, not kind of undermine it with your lack of preparation.
His band released their new album. His band, Canning Dicks. Okay, fine, Canisteros. They released.
Their name is Canisteros, but I think it sounds more like Canning Dicks. I'm sorry. I really do. I'm sorry, not sorry, I guess. Now, this part here, for those who are not aware, this is going to get a little bit confusing. So pay attention as best as you can. I'm going to try and explain it as we go. But there was a controversy with Todd and his band's former record label, now former record label.
Their new album. And upon doing so, they were then confronted with some questions about why they were on a new label. And after releasing their new album, they then released a video. And in their official premiere video there, Todd and his band were using these symbols called runes, R-U-N-E-S. And apparently these same design of runes have been used by some white supremacists or racist groups, all in all. And as a result, there are a lot of people who, upon seeing these images, are then upset and affected by this. But rather than try and listen to this and accept the fact that these images that you are now helping to put out into the world even further are causing harm, rather than try and take some of that in and try and understand and try to make a better decision, they decide to double down. Let's first check out the video and take a look at these ruins.
That is Todd's song you're hearing in the background. That is a portion of the music video. And it's showing these runes or whatever from the, I don't even know what alphabet. Wait, what is? Oh. Okay. You'll see. Right there. I put these screenshots in.
The first screen.
These screenshots too, I did not obtain these. I found these screenshots in the subreddit. I just want to throw that out there.
Shot here explains how the National Socialist Movement, the NSM, have adopted this same design as a legacy logo. And the same design is also known as a rune. The next screenshot here explains how the Othala rune pictured here, which is also part of the runic alphabet system, has also been used throughout most of Europe in the 20th century as a symbol for Nazism. And this following screenshot is a picture of a tweet by Without a Crystal Ball. And in this tweet, she says, the KKK took the Christian cross as their symbol and used to for hate. Does this mean we accuse people who wear crosses of being white supremacists? No. Runes are thousands of years old and have innocent meanings. The only rune that should never be shared is the swastika. And this last screenshot shows yet another tweet from Without a Crystal Ball. She responds to someone who says neo-Nazis tried to destroy everything. They already ruined the original meaning of the swastika. Can they please stay away from Norse history? To which Without a Crystal Ball replies, I know it's awful. They steal historical runes with beautiful meanings and turn them into hate.
Then has a brand new label, which is amazing. They like.
All right, so now I went about this in the order I went about it, because this is the order in which I learned about things and as they happened. Just before this is when I learned about the whole record label thing, and I think it was literally days before this. It was literally days before this where I learned, or we all seen or learned of the video and the runes thing and everything, because this video, this live stream here that's up on the screen of Katie Joyce, this is from her Instagram. And this is from, I believe it was June of 2000. I know it's 2020. I believe it was June. And in this live stream, this is where the brewery calls come into play. She claims that some crazy person called a brewery to threaten Katie Joy, and that this person left like 50 messages or something. And funnily enough, this person just happened to choose the day to do this is the same day in which Todd's new album premiered. It was released, whatever. Yeah. It's mind-blowing, right? Or no, I'm sorry. The phone calls actually came 2 days before allegedly before the release of this album. But Katie went live about it on the day that the album was released. And watch, you'll see.
Ditched their old label because they got involved and started signing all of these bands.
Oh, wait, it's right. I don't get into phone calls too much here. She's talking about the label and why they switched labels. But it was from this video here where the phone calls first came into play.
Terribly.
Next, we have some Instagram posts.
Should do a video on that one too. I think I have. I know I have all the screenshots and all the shit from that. That'd be, I think I might do that tomorrow.
First, we have by Without a Crystal Ball. Recently, people have been accusing my husband of being a white supremacist.
Actually, no, I'm going to cover that tonight in another live stream I did where I compare. I think I found the person who actually made the phone calls. That's going to be interesting because it all ties into the whole racism thing. It really does.
Because he shared pre-Christian alphabet runes used by the Norse/Viking people thousands of years ago. My husband is deeply interested in his ancestral background as a man with Scandinavian and Native American lineage. Yes, that's right. My husband is also part Ojibwe, a native tribe of the North Americans slaughtered by explorers and a community that is still struggling with oppression today. This is his statement months ago denouncing hate. Not all heathens are white supremacists. That's akin to saying all white people are racist. We know it's not true. Thank you. Next, we have by Canning Dix. Thank you for sharing.
You're going to see some comments possibly from me, or you're going to at least see me tagged because this is before I was blocked from her Instagram. So I was involved in this conversation here and there.
Sharing this, we as a band recently raised over $400 and donated it to the American Indian Cultural Center in Minneapolis, which burned down during the recent riots. I
want to just point that out though too. Katie is so concerned about racism and how people of color and everything are treated. Well, throughout the course of the riots, and I think it was Minneapolis or was it St. Paul? I think it was both. But throughout the course of the riots, they donated money to help restore, repair, some of the buildings there or whatever. But they couldn't choose one that, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the Native Americans don't deserve it. They absolutely do. I'm just saying that they had a choice where they could have donated directly to repair funds for the group of people who were most deeply affected by this at that point in time. or they could have donated funds to a group of people who they felt just represented them and their interests a little more. You know, I don't understand that. I don't understand like how they felt good about that. Like, I do both if need be. I fully support that. Like, that's a great idea. Do both, because everyone, I think, is affected by racism, or everyone who's a person of color, really, just a minority, is affected by racism. So I understand doing both, but to brag about doing this, well, I don't know. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right to me. Is it just me? I don't think it is, but maybe it is.
I challenge anyone to say with a serious face that a white supremacist would raise money for Native Americans, a group of people who have been under the thumb of the white man since this country was founded. It's truly a shame that this stuff even needs to be said, but such is life in the age of cancel culture and people's lack of desire for any sort of nuanced conversation. Without a crystal ball says,
No one was even giving her shit or anything about their support of Native Americans. Like, there wasn't a discussion, but she had to martyr herself for that discussion somehow.
we know we are not racist. It's sad that hate groups will steal ancient symbols to promote hate. Canning Dick says, and we will fight to keep our symbols and not allow hate groups to misappropriate them. Next, we have Canning Dick saying, it all stems from my use of the Elgar Futhark runes. Uneducated people see that and they jump to conclusions.
I just want to say, right before I recorded this part here, I had to Google how to pronounce that word, and I don't think I got it correct. So I apologize for that. But yeah, I tried.
Because some knuckle-dragging Odinists here in America have misappropriated the Othala runes to push their hatred. Canning Dix then says, my grandfather on my mom's side was 100% Ojibwa. Next, Canning Dick says, after that long-ass diatribe, you still don't understand the point behind all of this. You seem to want to insert your opinions on things without actually knowing exactly what you were talking about. Now, that last statement may have sounded harsh, but I implore you, if you want to try to talk intelligently on this subject, please educate yourself first. There is absolutely nothing racist about the Elder Futhark runes. Zero. It's an ancient letter system used by pre-Christian Germanic Scandinavian peoples before the Christians came to that part of the world and converted everyone. As a Norse heathen, I use the runes all the time. They mean a great deal to me. The notion that my use of the Othala rune in the video to tell a story has offended someone is simply not a possibility, because
he's speaking on other people's. He's making himself the judger, the ruler, not the judge, but the one who determines whether or not other people are offended by his actions.
Not a racist symbol or a symbol of hate. Us inclusive heathens fight this shit every day. Do not fault us for the fact that certain far-right types have misappropriated some of the runes in order to...
He's just a poor white boy over there in Minnesota, just fighting racism every day. I mean, that's how that read.
Push their hate. Canning Dix then says, look, I'm tired of playing this game of whack-a-mole. I guess you are free to believe whatever the hell you want to believe. Mind you, it's based on one post. You said it yourself that you didn't even know about me until she just posted this. It's really a shame that you are ready to make such snap judgments against people having not knowing the full extent of someone's heart or life experiences. Kind of seems like the same deplorable behavior that the white supremacists use. Yes? And finally, this last screenshot shows...
I want to point out that this wasn't... What the hell? My God, it scared the shit out of me. This wasn't made clear in this video here I made. But the person he was speaking to there had said that they were a person of color. So that just stood out to me, because he had said... Oh, wait, I have to use my mouse. Turn off. Okay. on. Okay, there we go. So he says, okay, yeah, it really helped. It's really a shame that you are ready to make such snap judgments against people having not knowing the full extent of someone's heart or life experiences. Kind of seems like the same deplorable behavior that the white supremacists have, yes? He's speaking to a person of color who stated that they were a person of color, and he's saying, you not trusting my good intentions here is kind of like the same thing that the white people do to the black. I mean, it's like, what the fuck, man? How are you this clueless? That the white supremacists use, yes?
And finally, this last screenshot shows Canning Dix as saying, here's the thing that you are failing to understand, though. This whole conversation stems from some people asserting that I'm a Nazi because I use some imagery of an Elder Futhark rune in my video. Those runes do not have any racist connotation whatsoever. The only reason people jump to this conclusion is there are some white power groups out there who have misappropriated these runes to push their hateful agenda. So that brings us to this. Should I, as a Norse heathen who happens to be inclusive, should I be forced to not do rune work because some idiots are using them for inexcusable reasons? Also, should I bow to the idea that something that is very important part of my culture should just be erased because somebody else wants to attach a baseless accusation of hatred to it? Everyone should be able to celebrate their own cultures and histories. Next, we have Katie's little slip. So yeah, that's the whole Instagram fiasco there surrounding the riots there in Minnesota. Slip of the tongue here from July 2020 when she said that Kanye was not at his ranch so much as he was at his plantation. Oh, I forgot about this.
So Kanye is maybe more down, maybe more hanging out, maybe more subdued today. I don't really know. Justin Bieber was at his plantation, was at the plantation, was at the compound or he has a ranch, at the ranch. Justin Bieber was at the ranch and he had been like traveling cross country with Haley. Sella, I said plantation thinking ranch.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Okay. Thinking about all the Harriet Tubman stuff that Mr. Kanye said this week.
So to try to cover up her just stupidity there, she basically blamed Kanye for her having called something a plantation. Now, mind you, yeah, plantation is still a word that's used in a lot of, people speak and everything. Sure, no doubt. But not in Minnesota, it's not. That's the whole thing. Okay, so the following screenshots and video clips are from January 2021, when Katie and her husband were once again kind of forced to answer questions about why they were once signed with the racist label to begin with and why they are now with a new label.
Is accusing my husband of signing a record deal with a company or with a record label that has white supremacy ties. My husband did not sign with a record label that had white supremacists on it. They were not active with that label when this specific band was signed. And as soon as my husband's band found out that they signed a band that had ties to white nationalism, they terminated their contract. They took a financial loss. They owed the label 2 more albums, but instead pulled everything and wanted nothing to do with this label, publicly denounced the label, and found a label that has 0 ties at all to white supremacy.
Now I'm going to stop here for a second. I'm going to point this out to anyone who ever thinks that Katie Joy is an honest person or corrects her mistakes even, or admits when she's wrong. I want to point this out here. Literally none of what she said there is true. None of it. None of it as far as Todd and why Todd did the things he did. None of that's true. Her or why she did the things she did, none of that is true. Hell, even the things that people did throughout much of that statement is not true. And this will be proven to you in the next few minutes.
Supremacy. The facts are, when he was signed with that label, like more than a decade ago, they didn't have anyone of the sort on their label at all.
Okay, before we go any further, I just want to take a moment and highlight some of the things that she said here. She says that when her husband signed with this label like a decade ago, that this label didn't have any racist bands signed with them. And that it wasn't until this label signed some racist bands that her husband then decided he had to leave the label. And in doing so, he just up and left everything. He left owing them money and 2 more albums, but he had to just leave to go find a less racist label. Let's just keep that in mind as we continue.
I don't care about 90% of the rumors that are started about me, but that's a rumor that can literally get you killed. Like in this climate, if you accuse someone of being a racist or being a white supremacist, you can have people end up at your house with guns.
Now, I'm a little confused what she means there. Like, does she mean that the people who are making these accusations could possibly wind up with people at their house with guns threatening them? Or is she saying that the people who are accused of being racist will end up with people at their house with guns? Because who would want to shoot possible alleged racists other than people affected by racism? So is she suggesting that people of color, upon hearing that she might be racist, could possibly end up at her door with guns threatening her life?
My husband has responded publicly.
She still makes this claim. Like the last time I heard her say this wasn't that long ago. Like it was this year. How do you do that? How do you not see that?
Multiple times about all of this. But this is what he posted on my Instagram earlier, which said that he is not a white supremacist. He is part of the Troth, which he is a inclusive heathen community, and he has signed Proclamation 127, which takes a direct stance against bigotry of any. I don't know who you are in real life, but I'm sorry if I've ever said anything involving your husband's belief. Did you participate in that dialogue? Because I'm telling you right now, it's not true. It's never been true. It'll never be true. We would never support that kind of thinking. We have been outspoken in our support for Black Lives Matter.
Again, I just want to take a moment and kind of highlight what she says there. She says, it'll never be true because we could never support that kind of thinking. We could never support that kind of thinking.
We have donated our time, our money, resources to help communities that were ravaged by the riots related to George Floyd and his murder. That's who we are. When Minneapolis was burning to the ground, my husband went to multiple Dollar Trees, filled up our car, and we dropped off all kinds of like toiletries and essential needs like Q-tips and, you know, tampons and toothbrushes and toothpaste, things that people couldn't get because of those riots.
Okay, next we're going to meet Darcy, the white woman that Katie felt was appropriate.
That's the kind of people they are. That's who they are. When tragedy befalls their local Black community and people lose their businesses, they're the people who show up with toothbrushes from the dollar store. That's who they are. Which is still, all right, fine. It's better than nothing. Okay, I'll give her that.
Appropriate to come on panel and vouch for her not being racist.
Hi, this is my friend Darcy. She knows me in real life.
There is not 1 ounce of racism in your body. There is not 1 ounce of racism in Todd's body. You know, make false accusations, and then all of a sudden people are at your door and you have a little child and you are taking care of that child and you're protecting your home and your family. And yes, your gay pride, flag got stolen. I remember that.
No, apparently you don't remember that because it wasn't stolen. That was never Katie's claim, but something tells me you might not need to remember that going forward.
It was like they were bending it down, and I told you all of the issues we were having with that flag.
Yes.
You know the neighborhood that we live in. It's very conservative.
It is.
And there's a lot of people that are homophobic.
Yes. And you are not, because one of your besties
Jesus, Darcy, how could you forget the narrative?
Is, gay. Remember when you were telling me about that when you guys went and had you made Noki together?
We went to the Science Museum. Cleopatra, it was like the flag was not stolen. Darcy did not, that it was not stolen.
Look what you fucking started now, Darcy, whatever. Thanks a lot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Got it mixed up. I'm getting a lot of things mixed up. Don't worry
No,
about it.
my story has not changed,
No.
Cleopatra. My story has never changed. Darcy misspoke. Go check my thread, Cleopatra, and don't be a troll.
Well, Katie, I guess it wasn't a good thing for me to come on because you got
No, fine.
all I gotta say is social media is just a bunch of assholes at the end of the day.
Said that I was one of the few YouTubers that took a stance for Black Lives Matter. That's because that's who I am. It's not performative for us at all. It's like our lives.
Sure is.
And I don't have friends that are racist. I don't associate with racists. That's just not me. Yeah. I will stand up for LGBTQ plus always. I will always stand up for Black Lives Matter. I will always stand up for anyone that is facing any sort of hate.
It's bullshit. It's just bullshit.
You guys are going to get us killed with these rumors. You're literally going to get us killed.
Anyways, whatever.
This is me. I'm not racist. My husband is not racist. He is not on a racist record label. When he signed, there was not any racists on that record label.
And that's right.
At all. Oh my God, Susan, go away. Susan, you are, oh, really, Susan? That woman's been trolling me for over a year. She makes so many different fake accounts.
And of course, what Katie Joy response would ever be complete without not just the live stream or tons of tweets or tons of Instagram posts, but also an upload.
And in today's climate, this is probably one of the worst things you want to be accused of, because this last summer was so terrible for the entire United States. We had so much injustice that happened. We grew up in Minneapolis. What happened to George Floyd was not far away from where we grew up. I've spoken out repeatedly about the injustices that so many people and people of color face. I have spoken out against all of this police brutality. I have stood up and supported Black Lives Matter. I am against any form of racism, and so is my husband. We are so against any form of hate. And because he made a video where he was using runes, Nordic runes from the Vikings era, it's an alphabet. This is not just because, anyways, here's my husband's statement. And my husband will stick up for me and I will stick up for him. And this is what he said. And this is a comment he made. I am a Norse heathen spiritual path, and I'm also a musician in black metal band. That they are using those things to come up with this narrative. Unfortunately, in those two worlds I just spoke of, there is a.
I'm going to skip through this because there's this I don't know, multi-point presentation she's got coming up. It takes a minute. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Actually, I want to hear this.
Hey. And just because a hate group takes something over, the community itself doesn't lose their history. They don't get to lose their culture because some really bad people took some runes over because they decided that this was going to be theirs, right? I don't know how people can come up with this stuff because it's so opposite of who we are. And I understand, I am a public figure now and there's a lot of interest in me. It's no different than me having grandparents from Germany, right? So my grandparents are from Germany. Does that make me? And then when I spoke for him, I was accused of speaking for him and that he needs to speak for people himself. And I said, no, he doesn't need to speak for himself.
And next we have a tweet where she made a
All
statement.
right, this is part I'm skipping.
Due to videos, accusations like this is not only irresponsible, but dangerous. Our statement is as follows. 1, my husband's band is not anti-Semitic or racist. Canisteris in contract with an 2, the band was on hiatus from 2012 to 2019 due to her son's medical condition. When the band regrouped to record their third album, they became aware of an album published by Moribund.
So this is the claim. The band was on a hiatus from 2012 to 2019, important years here, due to their son. The kids being blamed for that. When the band regrouped to record their third album, they became aware of an album published by Moribund that was by a controversial band known for anti-Semitic lyrics. Moribund offered Canisteris the third album option. Canisteris declined because of their association with the band. Okay, what? When the band regrouped to record their third album. So the band regrouped to record a third album, but then what, Moribund offered a third album option after they regrouped? Like, you're contradicting yourself there, but like, whatever. Just remember, she's claiming that there was a third album option.
That was by a controversial band known for anti-Semitic lyrics. Moribund offered Canisteris the third album option. Canisteris declined because of their association with this band. Canisteris condemns racism and anti-Semitism.
Okay.
Their new label also condemns Induction 120 of the Troth Nation. In order to celebrate our religiousness, membership in the Troth and participation in our activities is open, and we do groups the work of restoring the elder Troth to a proud, open, and active role in our society.
Holy crap.
Implying malicious intent to my husband and his band for signing with Moribund.
Canisteris is an independent band. They are not paid by their record labels. Don't tour and don't make music for profit. So then were they paying the record label to be able to make the record? So then he was supporting people who supported racism. Okay. Guilt by association is not guilt. That's interesting that she says that.
Records is defamatory and untrue. Okay, let's just remind ourselves of some of these claims here that Katie made. She says that when her husband signed with this album label in 2009, that they were not known for signing racist bands, and they were not known for attracting such bands. And that it wasn't until her husband learned of them having signed these bands that he then said, nope, that's enough, I'm out of here. And he left money on the table, and he left owing them 2 more albums, or 1 more album, depending on which version you listen to. And in other words, he did not fulfill the terms of his contract, and that is why he left to find a new label that didn't promote racism. That's what Katie says. Now, let's look at what the evidence shows. Okay, this is from a January 6, 2000 article called The Price is White. In the article, it discusses how racist metal bands are really a multi-million-dollar industry now. It says, in fact, a report coming out this month warns that Moribund is part of a multi-million-dollar industry that's pushing racist rock. So as far back as 2000, that's 21 years ago, this label was known for signing racist bands.
Which was also almost a decade before Todd signed with the label. And this has been a known, like, I don't listen to the exact same genre of metal that Todd has been a fan of, but I've listened to all kinds of types of metal, like my entire life, really. And there's been a pretty good music scene here where I live locally, as far as bands and live music and stuff goes. And so you kind of become familiar a little bit with the smaller labels and such. And it's been kind of known that the majority, yeah, sure, it's not just Moribund. It's been the majority of these smaller record labels for many metal genres. That, yeah, because it is kind of a racist genre. I gotta admit that it really is, or at least it was. I don't think it's quite so much anymore, but you know, I don't think that it's really entirely my call to make either. But I do think that there's been improvement. So this has been known about Moribund. Moribund is like I want to say it's the oldest and most well-known record label in many of these sub-metal genre culture or communities. So
further on down the page of this article, it says, Thompson says his label, which he started in 1991, is not political or racist, but encourages freedom of speech. There's a difference between being proud of one's heritage or culture and being flat out racist or prejudiced to other cultures. I just wanted to point this out here because in this interview, he's saying how he's just proud of his heritage or culture rather than being racist. You know, kind of like one Norseman we know, how proud he is of his ruins. Okay, this next.
And also, too, seeing that about Thompson, it just reminded me, as I was talking about the about the music scene here. When I was putting together stuff for this video, I reached out to a childhood friend of mine, and he and I were talking, and I was just, basically just rehashing, just acquainting myself with Moribund and, just the whole record label scene here. And he knew who Candace Dares was. In fact, he sent me a screenshot of 2 CDs on his bed, both Candace Dares. That's just to give an example of what the local, music scene here is, kind of like. And yeah, it's been a thing. And it's also been known that the types of bands that this label supports, that's been a thing too.
Screenshot is a Moribund called 2015 mail order catalog. It's the first page of the listings of all the albums and everything that they have for sale in their mail order catalog. And this next screenshot is the second page of this catalog. And down here towards the bottom, you can see Dead 137, Dead 181. Both of those are advertising Candace Dares albums for sale for $10.99 each.
Now, clearly, Moribund was selling the Candace Dares CDs. And in fact, like I pointed out, they were even being bought by people if someone over here in Utica, New York had both of their albums. Okay. So there was no money to have been made. They didn't make any money off of this. Really? I mean, the chances are they probably didn't get like a huge cut of album sales. Okay, fine. But I'm pretty sure they would have gotten something, no?
This next screenshot is from a forum post. It's a list of labels to avoid should you not.
Here, I forgot to make mention to the date. That's why I put in the title, the text there. But it says there on the bottom, it was created May 27th, 2019.
To give money to labels for racist reasons or otherwise. It says this list is here largely to inform. While many of these labels make themselves obvious from their lineup and bands, some of the more devious and add-in bands that aren't associated with the ideologists pick up the rights to albums from other less shady labels. Okay, and number 57 on this list was Moribund Records. Okay, I'm actually upset about this one since these guys were the label for IAT, one of Lebanon's better black metal acts. But it seems these guys are now actively trying to sue platforms like PayPal and even some credit card companies for kicking neo-Nazis off their platforms. Okay, this next screenshot is from an article discussing how PayPal deplatformed certain labels, including Moribund. It goes on to say, what we do find interesting is that the same SJW language, claims of right-wing extremists and neo-Nazi activity, is found in the letter sent to HHR. And it goes on to discuss how they didn't even notify the labels or anything, they just dropped them because of their views. And this last screenshot comes from an interview that Todd gave.
This right here. Now, remember how Katie said that there was an option for a third album, or there was a third album. Oh, it depends on which story you listen to. And that, remember how Katie said that they left their contract still unfulfilled. They left money on the table. They owed the label money because of doing this even. And that they did this because they then found out that Moribund signed these racist groups.
The summer of 2019. The interviewer asks, your first 2 albums were released by Moribund Records, and I must admit it felt like ages since I last heard the name.
This is an interview that her husband Todd gave. This is what I'm reading here at the top there in the darker font. This is that's the questioner, the online publication, whatever that he was interviewing with. The bottom part is what Todd said.
Perhaps I even confused it with another label. Anyway, both of you being label owners back then, what made you decide to work with Moribund, and did this cooperation succeed in terms of making more people aware of Candace Dares, whom you might not have reached through God is Myth, which is Todd's record label at the time? Todd says, I must admit that the name God is Myth Records is one of my favorite things I've ever done in the music business. And as far as Moribund goes, you pretty hit the nail on the head. We simply decided at the time that Moribund was the best label for us due to the fact that they have worldwide distribution. So we signed a 2-album, 10-year deal with them, which now makes us free agents as that contract expires in August of this year. That would be August of 2019.
So according to that, I want to point out that I don't think that I don't think that Todd did anything wrong signing with this record label or fulfilling the terms of the contract. So I don't even know why Katie felt the need to lie and defend all this shit. I think that the proper or better way to respond to the backlash that they were getting would have been to come out and say, we now realize years later just how insensitive it was that we signed with this record label. And we're truly sorry for anyone that we may have hurt or offended as a result of, us having done so. All we can say really is going forward that we understand now. We see and know better, and we will make sure that nothing like that ever happens again. And thank you to all my audience or whatever, my followers, for taking the time to explain this to me. Like, that's how she should have responded to it, but she didn't.
Evidence. Todd left the label because he fulfilled the terms of his contract, which was 10 years and 2 albums, which he served 10 years under the contract, and he produced 2 albums for the label. So that's why he left, and that's why he went to another label. And in fact, he never once publicly denounced this label. He hasn't said a word against this label. He hasn't come out and spoken against their practices, or nor does he apologize for having been associated with this label. Now, remember earlier, Katie says that she doesn't associate or support anyone with this kind of thinking. Yet, here was her and her husband effectively doing work for this label, helping them earn money on the work of Todd and his art. I also want to point out that, since as early as 2000, there were reports being written in the scene here, in the music scene, about this label's practice of seeking out and trying to appeal to bands that push the limits as far as racial divides go. This was known. This was known enough to be written about and put up on the internet, but yet Todd, and mind you, this is his music scene. This is where he lives, he breathes. This is the music he knows. Are we supposed to believe that he didn't know this about one of the biggest and oldest labels in this genre? I do want to take 1 second here, though, and discuss his new label, Bind Room, because it's been stated several times now that his new label is not known for supporting racism, and they are, in fact, known for promoting inclusiveness. And from all things that I can find, this does hold to be true, it seems. I felt it important to add that here because I know that this genre of music does kind of have a bad reputation for things like racism. So I wanted to be sure to point this out about Bind Room recordings because they do appear to be the exception in this genre. Okay, so the last racism fail, I guess, here that I'm going to point out by Todd and or Katie is Todd's reading list. Specifically, one book that he gave 4 stars to. So let's go check that out. Okay, so the first screenshot here shows that this is, in fact, Katie's husband, and this is from the site Goodreads. And it shows that he gave 4 reviews, and he has some favorite books or whatnot. And then the next screenshot shows one of those books, and that book, as you can see, is Mein Kampf. And if you go over here to the right, you see that he gave the book 4 stars. He rated this book 4 stars.
And again, I want to point out that I do think it's possible to think that it is a book, like a must-read book or whatever for people, or that this book, it's a great book for really explaining or showcasing inside the mind of a madman or something. I can see someone giving those reasons or excuses as to why they gave the book 4 stars, because rating it 4 stars isn't helping the author out any. Let's be real. I mean, it was written by Hitler. Hitler's no longer here. So nothing, say or do what you want regarding this book. It's not going to benefit him ever. So I feel like that the correct way to have handled this situation would have been Todd coming out and explaining such a reason for giving it 4 stars and explaining that he thought it was important that everyone read this book if they could, so that they could just better understand and see the warning signs for, some deranged person coming into, something like that. I could see that. I could understand that. I could buy that. That's not what happened, though.
Before I go into this next part, I just want to say that I don't think that either of these two are like racist exactly, or intentionally racist, that's for sure. But I do think that, like myself, they are also oftentimes racially insensitive. And rather than listening when it's being pointed out for them, they are fighting back. And that is the problem. That is the issue that I see with this. So, and this is why I'm making this video, so other people can see what it is we're talking about when people like Todd Chrisley say this, and why it is we say these things. Because you're never going to learn if you don't learn to listen. And they don't listen. Next, I just want to call attention to a post she made back around the George Floyd riots about Philando Castile. She writes, "It's awful. You have no idea how much Philando's death has left this huge imprint on our hearts. We haven't forgotten him. We haven't forgotten his family or his legacy. We haven't forgotten the piece of shit officer walked free and never saw a day of prison time. We sat and watched our city refuse to condemn him or even fire him. We sat and watched our government defend their officers. George Floyd's death was equally shocking. Both deaths captured on video. George begging to breathe. Officers just sitting there doing nothing. It's sick. This time, all the officers were fired immediately. Our major and police chief took immediate steps to denounce these officers and their behavior. So the response was so different, but it is too late." So I want to wrap this up by bringing attention to a blog post that she wrote on July 9, 2016.
I want to point that out a little bit more too. Like, the post that I just read was from 2021. It was from during the George Floyd riots. Notice her point of view there, how she's horrified and just very angry over not just the senseless killing of this man, but over no one being held accountable for it, and how the police there suck and everything. Okay. Well, here's a blog post that she wrote about Philando's murder and pretty much her point of view of things back then.
This blog post was discussing the events that happened in her hometown around Philando Castile. In her blog post, she writes, "There was a live stream video that went viral. We only saw the moments after he was shot multiple times by the officer. We did not witness what occurred before. My newsfeed has blown up of people fighting about what happened and has divided between pro-Black lives and pro-cops. I sit here on the fence, supporting both. As a mother of a child that is disabled, I live in a world of inequality. I know what it feels like to be marginalized because of my son. Please don't think I'm discounting what happened last week. In fact, if any person, I'm trying my best to understand. I grew up in the town where the officers serve. It is a small town, but doesn't lack diversity. In fact, my parents live next door to immigrants from Tibet. As a child, I admired and respected the police force. They are involved and invested. Our town isn't full of cops that are racist. I do know that racial inequality exists. I do know that gun violence is out of control in our country. And I know that children are witnessing violence by guns more than we would like to admit. We need laws to change what is currently going on with guns. We need better training for police officers and training about profiling. We need better programs to help those living in poverty actually get out of poverty." So I'm going to end this video on two notes. One, the entire time that she or Todd spoke about the runes and about why they should be allowed to use them and to share them and to put them out in the world and to keep putting them and tagging them and things, but they never once considered the effect that their actions were having on other people, on those deeply affected by such imagery. And lastly, I want to point out that the blog post in which I just read from is the one and only blog post that Katie wrote about Philando's murder. Throughout the entire blog post, not once did she say his name. Okay, now it's time for member shoutouts.
I sat here muted the whole time. Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my God. Sorry, I didn't say all too much. I was just pointing out how, yeah, it was really disturbing when I realized how she didn't say his name throughout the entire blog post. Like, she could sit there and go all out crazy to have her friend Darcy come on and to her boyfriend there to vouch for Katie's not racism or whatever. But throughout writing that blog post on Flando, she couldn't say his fucking name once. Thank you, Autistic Show. I see it now. Yeah, I saw it. But yeah. Yeah, not once could she say his name. It's really kind of shitty. All right, so remember the brewery phone calls I was talking about? Well, I found what I was looking for here, and I found the live stream in which I played these brewery calls that Katie had played. And then I'm going to play who I think sounds very much like the voice in these brewery calls. And you guys tell me what you think. I mean, not that it really matters, but I don't know. It's one of those things where you just kind of want to know. So, yeah, I was heavier and shit. Yeah, I know. And apparently I didn't really use good hair color. And okay, anyways, I don't know. I hate watching my older videos because I don't like what I look like. But that being said, this is from a stream from January 20, 2021. Okay. Yeah, this was right after I think that chick was on. All right, so this is the alleged threatening phone calls. Let me get to the part where Katie's going to play these. Actually, I think I just jumped right to the playing these messages and then playing the other person's voice. So let me just jump to it again.
Fuck with her every goddamn day, and don't you forget it. I will fuck with her. Goddamn day, and don't you forget it. I will.
Okay, good.
Fuck with her. PM. Crystal, Bo, fuck with me. I'll fuck with her every goddamn day, and don't you forget it. I will fuck with her. Enjoy the bitch, and she needs to die. 4:55 p.m. Katie Joy abuses her children.
Okay, so those were the voice messages that she played that she claims had come through to the brewery. Now, let me explain to you the relationship with the brewery. You remember how Todd was? All this talk about Todd having switched albums, his old, the racist supporting or whatever album of Moribund. Well, after Moribund, he did join with a recording company or record company called Bind Rune. Well, the people who own Bind Rune, one of them also owns a brewery. And this brewery is the place that received these phone calls on Katie Joy. No one knew, discussed, or even heard of the owner of this record label, let alone any involvement of any brewery before. But yet somehow someone sought them out and called them over Katie. Like, okay, sure. Like, it's crazy. Unless it's kind of not, because remember I made mention to his record label or his new album coming out, right? Okay. Well, now I'm going to play something for you on who I think it might have been that called. Oh my God, stop playing with those things, Kat. Why am I? Was I muted when I recorded this? I might have been. Oh, I can't hear myself. Oh yeah. See, oh my God. You guys see this live chat over here on the right? Look at, you're muted. You okay? No sound. Fuck.
Hi, this is my friend Darcy. She knows me in real life.
Remember Darcy there? Let's take a listen to Darcy yet again.
I can see the pain in your eyes right now, and I'm sorry. I'm really, really, really sorry.
Sorry.
because that is
I muted myself. Sorry.
at all. And if people only like, you can do things through
Oh my God, this dog.
any social media, but when you are with somebody, you know that person, you know the type of people that you and Todd are. There is not 1 ounce of racism in your body. There is not 1 ounce of racism in Todd's body. One of the reasons why.
Well, do you think it might be? It sounds like her. Let me get to those messages again.
5 p.m. Katie Joy abuses her children. Katie Joy's a bitch and she needs to die. 4:55 p.m. Katie Joy abuses her children. p.m. Crystal Ball fucks with me. I'll fuck with her every goddamn day, and don't you forget it. I will fuck with her.
All right.
p.m. Crystal.
See, I'm curious. Okay, I'm not gonna play more of that, but I'm curious. What do you guys all think? Let me go to chat. Hey Claire. Hey Mousy Files. Hey Captain Katie. Hey Running Grey Wolf. Foot keeps itching. I don't know why. I think I got bit by a mosquito or something. I don't know how. It's freaking freezing out here, but I think I did. Oh no, I don't think that it's KJ calling. I think that the person calling was Katie's friend Darcy that she had on. That's who I'm kind of. Well, I'm not sold 100% on it, but I definitely think it's a good possibility, a strong possibility. So yeah. Anyway, okay, so we sidetracked there for a second on the whole voice messages thing. What are you doing? Leave that alone. Anyway, I just want to remind people or inform people of this before they actually maybe possibly start buying into some of the shit that Katie is like trying to make her the social justice warrior, savior, or whatever on behalf of, because I don't think she quite understands a lot of things about discrimination. I really don't, and I don't think that I don't even think that that's been by design or on purpose or anything. I think that she just doesn't know that there's a lot of knowledge there to acquire. I'll say, leave it at that. But okay, so it's just after midnight here. I'm exhausted. It's kicking in again. Like it's like I can't tell you how many times right after I hit the go light button, like my eyes feel like I just want to lay down and go to sleep, like right there. Which is what I'm going to do now. But Kitty, stop it. Leave the chair alone. Oh my God. She's chasing her tail. Oh my God. It's so fucking funny. She was just spinning around chasing her tail. I love it when animals do stupid things like that. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up, but I have tomorrow off. A whole day off. All day and night. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with myself. So I have a video I want to work on, and I have something else I'm trying to get going. It's gonna be fucking awesome if it all comes through the way I want it. So hopefully it will, but it won't be tomorrow. But hopefully it'll be like over like the next week or two. So yeah. Okay. On that note, I'm gonna take off here. I'm exhausted. All right. Oh wait, did I miss something here? I just noticed that. Oh no. Okay, you're muted. Thank you, Autistic Show. Okay, guys. I don't know. I'll put the links to these streams in the description in case anyone wants to check them out. So, but see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone. Oh, cat, that hurt. Okay, no, stay off my desk. All right, bye.